So I had an idea of how to recycle our visqueen off of our tunnel gardens. We usually just take them off and put it in the gardening shed for the winter, and the garden's in pretty bad shape. It's mostly been harvested or sadly neglected because we've been doing house projects. So I'm just quickly removing this off of here and shoving it in the back of my car because we're going to put it up over the windows. Monday evening we've been working on getting the visqueen up over some of these openings, and Scott had to run to Anchorage today. We're trying to get some more stuff that we need. We've got this double wall pipe there. This piece is going to go up between the BCIs. Nice instruction manual, love that. We got a rain cap. XL, that's the name of this stuff. XL is the stuff that's it's from Canada. That's
why it was
yeah,
different than everything in Anchorage.
High-end product, and we just want to go with something really high quality.
Max or something like that.
Yeah. So we're getting this more. Thank you everybody for awesome suggestions about what to do with the stove, so we're just going to end up going do a 45 there. What are the 45 and then go up?
And it's only need about a foot of pipe.
About a foot, yeah. Okay.
And then straight up to the 1 and 2
straight up.
BCI.
Yep, and so that we can get it right in between there. And
Roger that.
And then what were you saying about the it's better to dogleg it down here on the?
Yeah, every stove expert that I talked to said do your 45 at the bottom, not the top. The only time you want to angle going up is if you're doing a full 90 and going out the building.
Okay.
Which we don't want to do at all.
What's the purpose of doing it down low rather than up high? What's the benefit, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Structural, and also doing the 45 is actually something that instead of doing a straight pipe, they actually recommend it, doing the 45 for drafting. Because a straight pipe has a tendency to do a lot of drafting, whereas this eliminates the drafting. Not all of it, but a good deal of it. So, Plus the 45 actually looks kind of attractive. They had a display in at the place I went to in Anchorage today.
Yeah.
And it was really kind of cool looking.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I thought it looked really. I thought it gave it some character.
Yeah. So we had to pick up a variety of supplies and some more tools that we're borrowing from his dad. Thank you very much. And pick up this.
That's very, very pliable.
Ooh, very pliable. That's, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So that molds really easily around the ridges. And,
okay. Yep. For up on the roof.
You caulk it. He said you don't need to fasten this one. Just caulk this one. But I'm going to fasten it anyways because we have so many extras of those.
Fasteners. Yeah.
Those fasteners that are color coded.
Right. Okay. Great.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, we also had to pick up these sauna tubes, and you got some more big feet.
Yep.
For outside. We're trying to think of all the things that we need to have done before the ground freezes or the snow flies, and one of them is to get this. There's no possible way that we're going to be able to pass inspection with this exit coming out of the loft if we don't have anything to step out onto. So we're going to have to get this built. We can't really put this off, and so we're going to have to sink these sauna tubes out here for the posts and get going on this deck before the weather gets goofy here too. So something, I don't know, we're talking about the timing on this, and Scott's saying, oh, we'll wait till the spring. Well, I don't want to wait till the spring. If we can get this thing finished sometime this winter, I want to be able to move into it and close on it, because the longer we have to pay on a construction loan, that's more, all we're doing is paying interest. We're paying interest on a construction loan, and I don't want to do that any longer than we have to. So if we can get this thing done, I know it's going to take a lot more work that we didn't plan on it, but he's going to have to get this grade done. We need to clean this up around here. So the weather's supposed to be clear tomorrow. Scott and Nick are going to get back on the roof and finish up all the apex. We have to get the gable flashing on this side of the north side of the house, and then get this apex flashing done up here and finish off that Arctic entry flashing as well, and then we're good. the roof is finished, and then you
Well,
guys can work
no,
on the
stovepipe.
in the
And that
stovepipe
needs
part.
to
Yeah,
happen this week before we.
right.
I'm seeing freezing temperatures next week.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on that roof when
No way. We are
So,
not getting up there.
those are
Nobody's
the two
getting up there.
priorities right now.
Yep.
Then everything else will happen.
Yep.
next week.
And then potentially get this door in tomorrow. If not, then maybe on Wednesday. So, and then the other part we need to do is this bitchathane around down here for the 3 feet and then over the monoslab. So we've got supposedly 2 clear days of weather and the next 2 days, and so we're just gonna have to maximize.
Nothing heavy in the forecast. Nothing.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Overcast and mild rain, and I can live with that.
Yeah. So let's see what we can get done out here. It's Wednesday evening, and we are trying to get the apex flashing done up here. Yesterday, did not do any filming. We just kind of got to work, and Scott and Nick were up here trying to move the trim board. I can show here. The problem is this trim board was too low. They had to move it twice so that this flashing piece that's hanging over, try to use the camera down here, again, we were having this problem with it not coming down low enough, so when we put that fascia up underneath there, anyway, it was too low, so they had to move that again. They were trying to get this Z-closure piece into place. After putting these, the foam pieces, it caulked these foam pieces and here between the panels, so those are all in place here, and then the Z closure is on top of it. And so anyway, it always seems like it's taking 20 times longer to do something, because you do it and then you got to fix it and whatever. It's like, and it's tough, it's frustrating when we're crunched for time right now. And you can see, I mean, it's, I don't know, what time is it, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I mean, there's just where is this coming from? Well, I know where it's coming from, but anyway, it's just like, it's nerve-wracking, because even today, when it's a clear day, we don't have any rain, we're still dealing with the drop in the temperatures. So the plan is just to get these in place. We're going to pre-nail the holes along here, because they're going to have to be fastened here on this side and then up here as well. So Scott's coming back now, and we're going to get busy doing that. We have the assembly line going again. I'm peeling the plastic off there. Scott has already marked with a marker to pre-tap those. So we're having to go up just a little bit higher here to make sure that we're hitting the trim board, since we moved it up. And yeah. The same with all of these pieces that are overlapped on the end about 3 inches. I'm just using the screwdriver to, you can see that, just kind of pull that out a bit, because that's the part down here that's going to overlap. Oops, go ahead and measure. So yeah, just about 3 inches is where it's going to overlap. And so if you bend that piece out, and then later we'll go along with like some duckbill pliers and or something to just clamp that down. So these panels are 10.5 feet long. So this is the 4th one. We're going to go ahead and do these 4 and put them up, and then we will measure that last one, because we're going to have to cut it. We only have about 50 inches left up there, so we're going to cut this piece to fit on the end, and then we're finished with that part, except we realized that these are the screws that we're using to fasten it down to the wood. And then there's a different screw, and this is a, yeah, okay. So then there's a different screw to use to fasten the parts down to the top, and so unfortunately we don't have the bit to fit for this, so it accidentally went home. So it will have to come back tomorrow, because we're not going to drive back to the house and get it and bring it back. So these are the little ones that are going to go across the top, on the top and bottom. That's all we have left to do with that. So it's looking good up there. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that that fascia board is probably going to end up being more than 1 foot. I think we need to measure that. It's Thursday evening and we are working on getting this bitchathane up around the exterior and up to about 3 feet because that's where the rock veneer eventually is going to go up there. So undercover we are rolling it out and pre-cutting the pieces. This stuff is actually quite impressive. What is this?
Bitchathane.
No, but what brand is this? Whatever, Myra, DRI, self-adhering waterproofing membrane.
It's a lot thicker than any bitchathane I've ever used.
Yeah, this is impressive.
This is what I cut this, 42 inches, and that's, significant weight. That's probably 3 pounds right there.
Wow. Yeah, it's quite thick and very tarry here on the edges. So, yeah, this stuff is impressive. It's going to be a good barrier. So we're just getting it up there and peeling back. Do you want to? I'll hold this. See if I can hold this and do it at the same time. See if it's talented enough. Maybe not. I'll hold that. Not professional.
I want to go around the corner a bit. So
you're going around the corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Get your overlap.
Right there? Yeah, it's overlapped here.
Alright.
Alright, I'm just going to hold it. There you go. Okay, so even though it's lightly sprinkling right now, but it's the temperature is not that cool. What do you say? It's about 50, honey? I think.
Well, I gotta notch.
Oh, we got a notch set down there. Yeah. So it's sticking all right.
It's like probably 42 right now.
Okay. Oh, you really think it's that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
It was 44 when I was driving home.
Maybe I feel warm.
Here.
Feel warmer because I have my jacket on. Okay. So anyway, it just doesn't feel that cool. And tomorrow it's supposed to be a little bit sunny, right? So we're hoping that it'll heat this up a little bit and kind of stick it nice and, yeah, I need to flatten this. I need to flatten this one. Flatten that out. And so we wanted to overlap it down here a bit onto the mono slab, the easy form, just to cover just that part that was this connector, that connector piece under there.
Put it back down.
Yeah, exactly. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. I know, I shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, so now when Scott finishes this grate out here, we're going to pull some dirt up over it just to cover that part. But
the gravel's going to come up right to the edge of the mono slab.
Okay.
And slightly taper away, so there's not going to be any rot factor because this is way above any drainage issue on the lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. We do not have.
Some people would say, well, you got to cover the entire thing. Well, yeah, if you're below grade.
Below grade. No,
but above grade like this,
we're
not
up high. We're up high, so we do not have a drainage problem. We do have lots of rain, but we do not have a drainage problem around this building. That's for one thing. So we're just going to continue around the edge. We wanted to make sure that this is in place. We're probably just going to end up putting, his dad's got some vinyl siding that he was left over from a job.
To get around to doing
so I think we're just going to use that and put that up here until we do the rock project next spring.
Cedar 2x4 here.
Oh, right. Yes.
So that's barriered out, and then I'll do like 16-inch on center studs in there. So that it's got a barrier, and then when we do the rock, we'll put the Dura rock over everything, and then we'll start mortaring it in.
Right.
And we can pick. That's a project for home improvement a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever.
What is?
Doing the rock.
The rock? Oh, we're doing that in the spring. We're doing that in the summer.
Well, if we can.
I mean, that's the plan.
Point is we want to get the house closed, get out there, get away from the construction loan, and then we can just kind of pick our projects from there.
Right. Exactly. And I can't remember. I was going to say something else, but all right. Let's just go back to work then.
Okay, so we've got our 45s on the bottom. We just plumbed it out.
Right there.
Going in between the first and second BCI, and the stovepipe will go right through here.
Okay, we got it centered. Yep. Okay, so we're just plumb lining that with our little chalk. little chalk line thing. So anyway, he's trying to get as close as possible to that. It's to the center, and we know exactly where to put that. So it's raining right now, but we're trying to get this set up so tomorrow when it's not raining, we can get back on the roof and get her done. Well, it's 7 o'clock, and it's getting darker, and the rain is coming down a little heavier. So we made it around this far with the bitchathane, and we just need to do a little bit more on that side and then around the front as well. So we will continue with that tomorrow. Another major project is clearing out all of this in here. Scott needs to get this grade brought up, and we had a ton of wood. And remember, I should have done some before and after pictures. We had a ton of pile of wood right here, and so Spencer carried that all over on the other side. We're trying to station everything on the far side of the house over there, kind of up against the treed area. And we just kind of, this is all our scrap stuff we're gonna have to burn, so we've been trying to do that a little bit at a time. And Scott's got to move this big toolbox and this wood out of the way because, and he's gonna have to move those boulders. Because what's gotta happen here, this is the thing, we had mentioned this before about having to build this deck. We're gonna have to sink these sonotubes here before it gets frosty next week and try to get this deck built, because we have to have an exit from that loft or we're not gonna be able to pass inspection. So it's something that we're just gonna have to do it. And I'm gonna look at the budget and see if there's any way we can afford to pay someone to do part of the deck or something, because we're just really pressed for time. So that all has to be cleared so he can get around here, bring this up to grade. And major priority, obviously, before it gets too cold, is to get that chimney and the roof and finish this part here. So we need to come around here with the bitchathane, around there. Our contractor was back from vacation, so we had a little bit of a punch list. One of the things was cutting out this window here, so he did that today. And so then we can just go ahead and we've got some Tyvek, a little roll of Tyvek that Scott's dad had left over from a job that he gave us. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this with that and get the bitchathane all the way around there. So yeah, we just, Jackie came over the other day and really helped me clear out this. I mean, this was just such a mess. We just have to get this, Scott had this dumped some gravel here today so he can work this grade, flatten this out. The compactor didn't start the other day. That was another problem. There's always, it seems like there's always something. You know, we had the compactor over there. We were gonna start that up so Spencer could be working on compacting this, and it wouldn't start, and so anyway, what we're going to do is that poor tent that flew down the hill that we had to disassemble, we're going to reassemble it over here so we can station wood or whatever that we need under that. And even if it snows, we're just going to use a broom and get it off the roof of that. We just need someplace, a covered area that's not inside the house to station stuff. So we hauled a bunch of stuff to the dump, and thank you so much, Jackie, for helping with all of that. So she may be able to come back this weekend and help me get that tent back up. So we're just trying to get a bunch of outdoor stuff done. And I don't want to get rid of all that styrofoam yet, because we may be able to use it for some more insulation on the inside. And we don't want to clutter underneath here because we still have to get siding up. So all of the, oops, it's a bit dark, but there's quite a bit. We put some boards and stuff under here, so all of that wood under there needs to get out and underneath the storage tent once we get that going. So anyway, so a little bit at a time. We are making some progress, and I was a bit discouraged yesterday, but you know, just have to keep bouncing back every day. And ooh, let there be light. We got some of these really amazing motion censored lights at Costco. They were on sale this summer. We bought like 5 of them. So they're gonna come in handy, because I think Ed's gonna come back and take his lights that he strung up there. So we're going to position some of these cool, they give off quite a bit of light. So that'll help us in here when we have to get this work done. So anyway, positioning this stove, we feel better about that. You know, it's where we want it. It's the direction we want to face it. We're just very pleased with the pipe. This is like double walled, super high quality. Like I said, we were not going to skimp on that. We said we're just going to pay for the top quality for the stove. And actually this is our PFD special right here. So those Alaskans are like, yeah, PFD special is permanent fund dividend for residents of the state of Alaska. It is not what it used to be. Don't get us started on what the governor has done with our PFD, but anyway, so that came out the beginning of October, and we decided that we're going to buy the stove that we want, and that's our PFD. So a lot of places in Alaska have, I should just say this, a lot of places in Alaska have like these PFD specials, and so we got discount on the stove and the pipe and stuff like that. So that worked out, and a lot of the bill that we have to put, like we have to spend out of pocket a certain percentage for the bank loan, so we have to keep track of all that, and so this is part of it. And we just decided we didn't want to compromise on the quality, of the stove. So we just want to get it in place and get this place dried out. Definitely. So I guess I could talk a little bit more about costs, because I believe Martin had a question about, should I be trying to do it myself, or should I hire contractors? And there's so many factors involved with that. One being cost. When we first started looking at doing, building a house, the reason, I guess a little background on that, the reason we decided to build is that we were looking for, houses to purchase, here in Seward, and what we were finding is that the places were, we felt, overpriced for the quality of product we were going to get. And especially in the area of energy efficiency. And we were thinking, if we purchase that house, we'd have to tear this out and redo that and whatever. And when we started looking at the cost factor, we were like, we might as well just build our own place and build it the way we want. And then when we started researching about it, we're like, either we're going to build ICF or we're not going to do it at all. Like, do it that way, or, there's certain things that we were just not willing to compromise on. And the original plan that we came up with actually was like 2,200 square feet on a basement with a full loft. It was just, we looked at it, we're like, this is way over budget. We don't need all that space. It's just the three of us, and we really started to scale things down, and we had to look at costing everything out. And and thinking, okay, well, what we can get a deal on this, or are we willing to compromise on that? And then looking at what I call like fixed costs, which to us were things like, okay, ICF block. We're not going to compromise on it. This is what it's going to cost. This is the material cost, and that's it. There's no compromising on that. So we did all of those things first, and then we looked at like where we could possibly, save. And when it came down to it, it was in the labor column. That was it. If we have $200,000 to build this house, and you factor in, look, when we look at what it costs to do like the excavation and all the dirt work that was done around here and prepping everything for the foundation, there's probably like $40,000 worth of work done if we had hired that out. But fortunately, Scott's able to operate the machinery. His dad had the equipment he was loaning us. It was just costing us gas or whatever maintenance we needed to do on it. So that's another factor. We had to look at like, well, what are the resources that we have available to us? What are our personal talents? I can't certainly drive a machine, and so, but it's like, okay, Scott can do that. He's not very good with paperwork. I don't like doing paperwork, but I can do it. So I'm like, well, I'll do all the paperwork for the bank loan and be kind of the, overseer of coordinating all those things. And, you're going to handle this part of the labor aspect or whatever. And so that's another factor when we, and then how well you work together. We fortunately have the same philosophy on a lot of things, and we have like our basic values and beliefs are the same. And so we're grounded in that, and that's like unwavering for us. And the other factor is that we actually agree on the types of materials we wanted the house to be built out of, the look, aesthetically, like, oh, we like kind of this wood rustic look, let's use some rock, we want a wood burning stove. So we agreed on a lot of things to begin with, because it will definitely stress your marriage. There are times when we argue about stuff, or like our personality differences come into play. And because I'm like very detailed oriented, I want to know exactly like, well, how do you do this? And what's the, and he's like, oh, just get her done. So you have to compromise a lot. So, that's another aspect that, you have to look at. And then the time issue. It's like obviously taking us way longer than if we had hired somebody to do this. But the bottom line is that we could not afford to hire a general contractor or subcontracting. I mean, we only, like I said before, we can only hire out the contractor that did the framing parts here and the electrician, and that's it. Everything else we knew, okay, we're gonna have to do this ourselves with, whatever help that we can get. So, but it's obviously, yeah, it's going to take longer. And it would have been easier to just hand it over to somebody like a general contractor and say, hey, you run the show, and we just sit back and tell you like, oh, we want this color or that color or whatever, right? So, that would have been easier. But, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I'm trying to give you a little bit of background maybe on some of the factors involved, and like, do we want to do, if you're trying to make the decision, do we do this ourselves or do we just hire out? I mean, you have to look at what you're not willing to compromise and the cost of things. And fortunately, we have folks at Builder's Choice that have just been amazing helping us, costing out exactly like this is what these particular materials are going to cost. The other thing is, we were talking to somebody who building a house in town, and they were saying, I said, oh, we're gonna have to go to Anchorage to pick up our materials. And they said, oh, well, we get our materials delivered for free. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no free lunch, right? So I questioned about like, oh, well, what does that cost? Or what does that cost? And so then I didn't say anything, but I walked away thinking, okay, the delivery cost is fixed into the price of your materials because you're getting it for free. The delivery is free. And so we've saved, I mean, literally thousands of dollars. I mean, it's cost us time, it's cost us headaches going back and forth to Anchorage to pick stuff up, but we've saved so much in delivery fees. And so, I don't know, there's just so many factors involved in areas that you can save and what we've done. So anyway, I just got a little bit of overview. Maybe I can elaborate more on that later, but and having to keep track of all this for the bank and the receipts and turning in the paperwork for the draws. I mean, if we could have done this out of pocket, we totally would have done it. But we realized that it probably would have taken us like 10 years to be able to build a house based on our income and what we could afford to save to do out of pocket. And we don't want to wait 10 years to have a house. So we're having to deal with like, yes, we have to, go by bank stipulations and what are the inspections that have to be done and all that stuff. And so, that's something else that's limiting. It is, and but it is what it is. We can't afford to do it without the loan, so that's another thing to factor in as well. So anyway, just a little bit of info on that. Tomorrow's Friday, Yahoo TGIF, and as soon as school's out, I'm going to get up here and we'll get rolling again. So Scott's got to do some dirt work outside before I arrive, and fortunately our neighbor Spencer will be able to help us again tomorrow evening. So a little bit here and there, we're just going to keep plugging away. It's Friday evening and we are trying to work on finishing up this flashing on the roof. We just can't deal with the slippery, so I'm tethered on here because this needs to get done. Despite, I was up here, cleaned this off with a towel, so it was wet all day because it was raining this morning, and finally dried up this afternoon. But anyway, what happened here is that we actually should have bent up the edge of this piece on the end and didn't realize that. So when we cut it off, and I think we were just probably in a hurry trying to finish the metal on the roof, which is this ongoing crazy saga. So what we're doing before we put this sidewall flashing in here, we just attach this little 1x piece to give it something to rest on. So I'm just doing that right now before we can get that flashing up in there. Setting this foam piece into place here, just caulking and getting it into position before we can put the Z closure down here. Have a sidewall piece here, and I just applied the butyl mastic tape along the hem, and now I'm going to set it into place. Looks like it's lined up down there. Okay. Alright, so now I just need to fasten here, and I'm going to fasten into, I'm looking for where the studs are, these ties, where it says Fox Blocks. So that's where I'm going to be fastening into here. Have that piece, the long piece in place, and now it's just this short one that Scott cut and handed up to me. So, and he already put the butyl mastic tape down there and opened this little hem piece so it's easier to slide in. So now I'm just going to put some caulking down here. So the caulking needs to go in this area so that when I slide it down in, it's good and set. So I'll get that done. I'm reminded of another reason I like Fox Blocks, because these ties where it says Fox Blocks, it's on every 8 inches, so I can put a screw here, and they're supposed to be 24 on center, so I can just go, you know, 1, 2, 3 ties, and there's my 24 inches. And so I just pre-tap the holes, and so I'm going to screw that in there. I really like the schematics that the ASC has on their website, because it's very well laid out exactly how to lay this down, where to attach the butyl mastic tape, how many inches, you know, like it's really simple to follow their instructions. Alright, so Spencer's off for the night. It's 7:30 and it's getting dark. We're always like we're just so close to finishing. We've got the Z closure down here. All we needed was the apex piece on there. We would have been done. So, always so close. But tomorrow, we're gonna be up here nice and early. We'll get on here. I feel much more secure having my little rope attached on here, and it's just tomorrow we're hooking up the well, he says.
Yep. I'm gonna dig beside the well, put the pitless adapter in.
Your dad's coming down?
Yep, he's coming in.
Okay.
He'd take a measurement and send a halibut weight down to the bottom and find out how deep we are.
Okay, well we'll get working on that in the morning. All right, I'm gonna get off of here and go home and get something to eat. Okay, I just have to say that I had to get off that roof even if I could see in the dark, because my feet are literally frozen. My toes are ready to fall off. I need to get in the car very quickly and defrost them, because I am wearing these, and those have like no insulation and they're frozen. So that just doesn't work when it's like whatever, 40 degrees out there. So well, don't laugh at me.
Less than 40. It's gonna get down.
I was on the roof because it's easier for me to squat down and get on my knees and do that, and for him to like do the stuff down below or whatever, which is fine. But then when I start realizing the temperatures are dropping, it's like, okay, that's it. So anyway, we're gonna go home, get some food, warm up, and get up early and get up here because we've got lots of stuff to do to prep before his dad comes down to help us with those other projects. Saturday, October 14th. Look at him laughing down there. It's like, is it possible that one day we could come up here and there's no rain, or that the roof is not wet? You know what I mean? Come on. So I just don't give up. I'm like, I'm getting on this roof and I'm finishing that flashing, and this is my solution to drying off my roof right now. And I'm gonna tie myself on that rope again, and this is getting done. And you better quit laughing, mister, because this is happening right now. Another project for today is getting the pump in the well. So Scott prepped this area. We have not done anything with this well since it was drilled the end of June. What do you got there?
I was just checking the depth of the well. It's still 360.
Oh, it's 360. Okay.
I didn't measure it, but I know that this line here to the white line is there was I want to say probably 360 feet of line there.
Oh.
Because I fished 340 feet of water and there's always a little slack, and I never hit that white line before. So.
Oh, that's your halibut full?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I didn't catch anything down
the well, but he used it with the halibut weight dropped it down there just to see. Right. Well, they had originally drilled it at 360. Holy moly. And then had to blast it at 200. So we were just wondering if like if there was any debris down at the bottom. So he was just checking the depth. And so all of this had to be dug up again, and we're just waiting for his dad to come down from Anchorage to help with this process to put in the pitless adapter and the pump. Yeah.
And the packs.
Right. Unfortunately, what your dad called a couple hours ago and said there was there's an major accident. Yeah, about 40 miles north. So very tragic, but it's a 2-lane highway and they close it. So, what, sweetie?
Is it time to roast hot dogs?
No, it's not time to roast hot dogs. We gotta get some work done first. So Scott's got all his dad's plumbing stuff out here. We're just thankful that he's willing to come down and help us out with that. We've got the pump. Everything's ready to go. We just gotta get in there. This is the pump. What is this thing? Sentry Pro. Ooh, looks snazzy. Gould's water technology. 4-inch submersible pumps. Nice. And this is a 3/4 horsepower. And we've got a ton of wire, courtesy of his dad as well. So we're just gonna wait till he gets here and get that rolling. Yeah, he can laugh all he wants, and he's not the one freezing his feet off up there. I'm telling you, look at these shoes it is like 41 degrees, and my feet are already cold, and they were not even out of my boots yet. It's 8 o'clock Sunday morning, and I'm in my classroom grading papers. And I thought, this is actually worthy of going on the video, because this week I was talking about the factors involved in building your own house, which has to do with, cost and time and all that stuff. But there's also the sacrifice factor, and it's called, getting up at 5:15 on Sunday morning and getting in here and doing this work, because I was at the property all day yesterday, and we've got lots of things to do, lots of projects, and so I just need to come in on the weekend, get up early, whatever it takes to get the stuff done. Right now it's the end of the quarter, and I've got a stack of essays, and well, here they are. There's one. There's a stack, and there's a few more over here. So I've got a few things to do. And it takes a lot out of you. Like, I was up at 4:30 yesterday morning, 4:30 the morning before, and realized I've got to get up and put in a load of laundry. Well, this morning I was brewing the tea to make kombucha, because I'm like, well, later in the day you need to make the kombucha, so we've got to brew the tea this morning so it can cool by that time. Or always having to think ahead and maximize time, or put in a load of laundry at 5 o'clock in the morning, because we live in a fourplex, and okay, the neighbors may be using the laundry room later, and I don't want to be up late doing laundry, so you do it in the morning or whatever. So whether you're sacrificing sleep or having to plan ahead and figure out what I need to do next, just to like manage life. And that's a lot of sacrifice, and we've been doing this all summer, and it got more intense now, like I went back to work. So there's just, I guess that's just another factor to think about in building your own house, because there has to be sacrifices. And I left Scott, he's like watching more installation videos and checking the schematics and stuff for installing the chimney pipes, and trying to make sure that he totally understands that, because we've never done that before. So he's up early doing that, and trying to get things done in the kitchen. Like, he handles like all the cooking and the stuff in the kitchen. He's trying to do that before Imogene wakes up. So there are all these other little tidbits of behind the scenes that go on that you have to consider. And there's the mental strain, the emotional strain, the physical strain. I mean, I think Scott and I were joking the other day about, if we were like 20 something, you know, we'd have more energy. But when you're pushing 50 and you're trying to do all this physical labor and, you know, long hours and just doing stuff that your body just can't really do like it used to. So, you know, climbing and anyway, whatever. So anyway, just a little bit more about some things to consider, because there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on that we haven't talked about too. Sunday afternoon, and the major priority is to get the chimney installed. So Scott drilled a hole where we had the our pretend plumb line hanging down there, so he knows exactly the center of where he's going to go up there and cut the hole for the chimney casing. What is this thing? Radiation shield? Yeah, okay. So that's what we're up to next. What are you doing?
I'm lining this up and measuring out 5 inches right here from the hole. And
oh, there's a hole in our roof. Ah!
5 inches here. And then 5 inches here. And then 5 inches there.
So is that casing down there exactly 10 inches?
A little less than 10,
less? Okay.
but we're gonna put it at 10.
Okay.
So, you know, it doesn't have to be snug. It just, you know, the top part, we want it to be kind of the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay.
So how do you like that saw? I'm
Well,
saying
right
that
now,
because
what I'm trying to do is
complained
I'm
about
trying
it
to-
earlier.
When it get that short cut, so probably what I'm gonna have to do here is just snip it the rest of the way.
Oh yeah, okay. It's the only cordless one that we have, and
Then I'm gonna
it's
use
doing it,
to
but-
get it, finish it off. I'll just use the handsaw. You know, it's no big deal.
Okay. Snip, snip with that.
Yeah.
It's doing the trick.
So we've got our hole. Now we can slip our box in. We're gonna have to cut the excess off that comes through, flush to the roof like so.
Okay, so now we need to go inside.
Yeah, we need to go
All right.
inside and
Let's
then.
do it. All right, we're gonna get going down there. It's a little bit scary when you see the snow coming down that far on the mountains. We are incredibly grateful for this sun today. Yahoo! We are pre-assembling this to make sure we are doing it correctly. We put it up into the hole and then drew, well, we kind of marked it and then measured it off here, so it's going to be cut exactly at the slope of the roof. And then we put this piece on. They didn't give you much of a schematic for installing this, so we're just trying to match it up and make sure we're doing that part correctly and put that on. So these are the parts that are going to get attached in. So the problem is that we don't have something between the BCIs, so we said, okay, well, we're going to stick a couple of these 2x4s up there so we have something to attach it to. Okay, so we just finished cutting the top so that it'll be the correct slope as the roof. Now we're heading up. We are very thankful for this lift. Get this box into place. Okay, this is taking us like 20,000 times longer because we have to keep redoing it, and that's because we're not professionals. So we had put those 2x4s up there and realized that actually you can't get it into place and make sure that it's totally level. So we had to take those down, and then of course then you can't get a screw gun around this side if you try to screw it into place, so we had to assemble that part down below and get this back up here. So now we're going to screw that into place, and we had to make sure that this is totally level. I think literally we started this like over 2 hours ago. So it's just trying to measure it properly and making sure it's lined up. This has been really quite the ordeal. But we're, I guess, making some progress now.
Yeah, she's...
Before it's too late and to get back up on the roof and do that part. Okay, so we have our snazzy double wall pipe here by XL. This is ICC, made in Canada, eh? That's for you, Ma, bye. So we're gonna put these guys on the lift. So are you going up there? We're trying to get these installed right now so we can see the distance. The lower two are adjustable, so we can make those fit the length. And then when we go up, do you want me to go up there with you? We're gonna probably be better. Okay. Well, the chimney install saga continues. Oh, it's been very frustrating. We pieced these parts together. Scott's going back up on the roof to center that and get the storm collar in place and all that. This part we had to figure out what the measurement was, because these are the two adjustable pieces right here that can go from like 40 up to 68 inches. And then, so right now it's just kind of tacked together. So he's up there and I'm gonna have to tell him when that thing is, when he moves it centered. Okay, back on the roof, we have the rain cap installed on there, and we're working on getting this flashing in place. It's moldable, so we can bend around those ridges. And Scott's getting some caulking, because we're just going to caulk the daylights out of that thing so it doesn't leak. That's the plan. And get off this roof before it gets any colder. This is some gnarly caulking here that we're using to seal around it. Just caulk the daylights out of it. We even put caulking around the screws that we put in there. Like no leaking allowed. So now we're going to attach the storm collar on here and then seal that. Okay, storm collar in place. We just had to feed that through there, bend that around, and get it as tight as we could right there. So now Scott's gonna caulk the daylights out of that thing too. So no leaking allowed on this thing. Do it up good. He is laying it on thick. I'm like, use that whole container. Yeah, get it on there good. I just want to make sure that that part is like super plugged up there. He ran it through that again. I mean, this stuff was great too. This is the type of flashing we needed. What? Get it on now too. Make a little design there, dear. This is a perfect flashing for doing this, because it was easily bending over that ridge line there, and that's working well. So we're gonna finish up on here. I'm just going down the ladder to get off this roof, and I'm like, wow, what a great sight. Just see that chimney up there finally. It just took us, a mere 5 hours to get this done, but you know, who's counting? One good reason to get off the roof is so my feet will stop freezing. I've upgraded. I'm feeling very Canadian today. These are my Baffins, baby. Super highly insulated. It's gonna keep my feet nice and toasty warm. So, but it's getting dark out here. And it's 7 o'clock. So it just took us 5 hours. Oh, literally, I can't believe it. To do this. So now it's too late to even start a fire. We're gonna have to get that going tomorrow, because we still need to actually straighten that thing out and we just kind of tacked the few screws in there, but we're gonna have to get all the screws in it, make sure that it's straight, but at least we got it done. I mean, the major priority was to make sure that we got that in on the roof and that piece in. So we accomplished that.